parts.
100%. I want to see what your documentary. Oh, cool, yeah, I'll give you one.
All right, my ticket people. Hello, ticket people. Make sure you have your tickets out so we can see them and check them. If they're on your phone, get ready to scroll so we can see the second one or the third one or whatever.
Kids, are you kidding? Sure, you kidding? You're a cat dad. Hi, girl. Do you want treats? Do you have a cat? I forget. I do. You got your notes. Okay, I'll take it out. Sure. Oh my God. Can we add more stuff to your arms?
Yeah, can you have more?
Sure. Thanks. Well, you'll see the stuff. Did you have cats?
I know. Yeah, give me. Hell yeah.
They're all the way in.
Hey, how are you? See you on this side.
Do you want a ballot?
I'm so excited.
Ready?
Do you have a ballot?
You got it.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just.
Oh, yeah.
Give it Terrence doesn't check it, tickets you're counting. So give it back.
Do you have a ballot?
Manager, if we can get you down here, I know you're probably missing concession, but we need help down here too.
If you need a ballot, let me know.
Digital ticket. If you have a digital ticket, it's more than one. Just show us your receipt. That's a little bit
Ballot?
We got some black people.
That is,
So that's all mine.
Need a ballot?
Thank you.
Thank you.
you get that way when you're going to go through the line.
If you need a ballot?
Can you talk more about that and why you decided to turn that into a series?
Sure. This film is based on my and my family's experience trying to get my dad a depression. It took about 8 years. I think part of the reason it took so long was that it took a long time for me and my family and my family's friends to understand what depression was and what depression is. I think, especially in immigrant cultures and working class cultures, where depression is considered more of an emotion than an actual disease that can be treated or something or weakness. And so it took a while to get people to come on board. He's not. We need to do something about this. He's not just going to get better. I think once people started understanding that we got the support we got, and it was such a profound experience for me that I really wanted to make a movie about it to help get discussion started about depression. Not having answers, at least get people to understand it. At least you can start talking about it. If you know someone or you yourself is depressed, then there's actually something. Lost your mic, sir. All right, better? All right. So basically, that they could do something about it, and even this is like you said, our 16th festival. It's been really great to see people come up to me and say thank you, for showing this or talking about this, because I have someone I know is depressed, and now I want to do something about it. So,
when you started working on the film, was it something that you talked to your family about?
No. Yeah. That would cause strife. No, my last film I made called Find Me. I had a character, a parent's character too, and there was a mom very much like the mom here. And the first thing my mom said when she saw it was like, "Is that supposed to be me?" And I'm like, "No, it's not supposed to be you, but it was kind of supposed to be her." So I've kind of put off that part of it until my parents live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so we'll be screening in San Jose in the end of August. So we'll have more report then.
You mentioned that you've had some people come up to you and react positively to the film. When you put your own personal experience yourself into a film to the degree that you did here, what is it like to see people react to the film? In this case, positively, but maybe there's also been some negative reactions as well. How do you process that as a filmmaker?
Yeah, it's really gratifying because you just don't know how people are going to react to the film, and to be able to see people laughing and crying and being positively affected is great, especially since I'm locked in the edit room watching this film 500 times and I hate it, and so you just don't know, you don't have that perspective anymore, and to be able to see it in a theater with people you don't know who are watching it. It's really gratifying, but I think you just don't know if it's going to touch somebody, and that's the reason why I make films, is to hopefully have people think about their own lives, and to see people actually affected by it. It's really amazing. It makes you realize that's why I want to make films. And then also, I think Hayden could tell his experience too, but my actors, we put them through a lot. We shot 14 days in 3 weeks, and
inside a very hot house.
Yes,
with no air conditioning.
Summer Dallas hot. So if you look at the scenes inside the house, Hayden's wearing a big jacket, a big puffy jacket, and like everyone else is like dressed up like it's cold. So they did a really good job of doing that. I don't think anyone realizes that it's like 100 degrees, literally 100 degrees in that house. And as soon as we all cut, everyone throws off their jackets, runs outside, fans go on. Allie had an ice pack in the freezer she strapped on and was like trying to get cold again. So like everyone's like running around doing this stuff, and then as soon as you say, okay, next take, everyone gets in, puts on their jackets and whatever, and yell action, and then all of a sudden like it's cold, it's supposed to be cold again. I think it's one of the greatest things the actors did. So I was actually curious, Hayden, when you first saw the film, you didn't see it till the 7th or 8th showing in the festival. Like, what was your reaction when you finally saw it with an audience?
I was pleasantly surprised. I liked how everything came together. Of course, like when as an actor, when you interpret the material and you break down the script, you shoot it, you have it in your head. It's like one way in your head, but you just don't know when it goes through like the post-production how it's going to turn out. And it turned out exactly how I wished it would. And that's saying a lot for like a lot of films. A lot of times, like as an actor, you don't have much control over the final product, and this one turned out exactly how I liked it. So I was pleasantly surprised.
And Tom, it's a really strong cast. You have a lot of experienced actors in the film, a lot of TV credits, film credits, and Hayden, that includes you. How did you get involved in the film?
Well, it's just like the classical way, audition gets sent your way. I think you sent it to me, the request was like peak pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? I got it. I filmed the audition just like normally you send the tape in. Nowadays, since the pandemic, actors don't go in the room anymore. You don't meet the casting director. You just self-record and you just send it off into the void. And you forget about it, It feels really silly. It's like, does anybody even watch this? So, you just send off a billion tapes, and then this was one of them, and I think it was like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, Hayden, we got your tape, ended up meeting with Tom, and Peter and Allie are actually dear friends of mine, so it was just an opportunity to work with my own friends, which is rare, and play siblings. It's really cool. So and the subject matter and everything, and Tom was very gracious, and there's more reason to say yes than no.
The relationship between Roy, Larry, and Margaret felt very natural. It really worked, and it had to work because the amount of screen time that the three of you have together, I don't know if the film could have worked if that relationship wasn't believable.
Yeah.
What did you guys do as actors to develop that relationship and that rapport?
Well, the beautiful thing about indie films, and I started in indie films, and I just love, how gritty and dirty it is, It's just like there's never enough time, never enough money, and all you have is heart, So people that sign on to these indie films, like they have, an urge and a desire to tell these stories, and so we all came on this project as friends with our background, and also, we have a yearning to tell this story. So we were all already on the same page, and we hung out a lot. We just talked about the characters a lot, and we sat down every day at a coffee shop just to go over scenes, and it just felt like acting summer camp, which is usually how indie films feel. Like a big studio film, when you work on those, it's like you don't see your co-stars until the day you're shooting. And sometimes they even change lines right before you get on your mark. And for an indie film, it's like you can kind of rehearse it like a play. And you're on your own time and everything, and there's much more freedom. So that definitely very, very much helped us, yeah.
Yeah, we actually shot this in July of last year, so it was under pandemic COVID protocol, so it was really stressful. So we actually got a house.
Oh yeah,
a couple of houses.
We all bunked up too, so
Yeah.
it was pretty sweet. Like we used to meet in the lobby and just, hang out and everything. So that really helped bring us closer.
Yeah, when we rented an Airbnb, which were really nice, and we had dinner together, and it was like summer camp, except when Hayden got locked into his bathroom and couldn't get out.
It's a real story. I was like, hey Tom, I think the door's broken. I'm gonna have to jump out of the back window. Can you open the front door for me?
Yeah, it's about midnight. I get a text. I'm about to go to bed. It's like, hey Tom, I think I can't get out of the bathroom.
Yeah. You know the moments when the universe just has to humble you a little bit, and that was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that, like, for me, for this film, just like you were saying, sometimes directing is 90%. 90% of your job of directing is casting. And I knew from the start that, like, if this film was going to succeed, I would have to absolutely get the right cast that could do comedy and could do drama and have that range. Otherwise, this film would never succeed, no matter how many tricky camera things or special effects I bring in. It's really about finding the actors that could do this, and then the rest will kind of take care of itself.
And Hayden mentioned how independent film is kind of gritty. Now, you mentioned this is your 16th festival.
Yeah.
You have a family, you have a wife, you have kids. What's it been like traveling across the country for all of these festivals?
It's been, it's been both crazy and amazing, so I never thought we'd get into this many festivals this fast. So I'm literally home maybe 3 or 4 days a week at the most. So that part has been a little crazy, but like fortunately my kids are teenagers, so they don't really care if I'm home anymore. So that works out really well. And so, but the traveling, we've been everywhere. We've been, from Oxford, Mississippi to New York City, to Dubuque, Iowa, to Oregon, of course, San Francisco, Los Angeles, to North Carolina. So we've been all over the place. And I think the cool thing is that universally, everyone has consistently reacted to film in the same way, whether it be an Asian American Film Festival or non-Asian American Film Festival. So I think it's really a credit to my actors that they have portrayed themselves and have touched people as, as human beings, as Americans that just happen to be Asian. And I think everyone in the audience says, oh, I know a cousin like that, I know an uncle like that, I know a dad like that. And so that's how they relate to the film in that way, which is really great.
Do you have any audience questions? I'll make my way up there.
Go, Maury.
Yes, sir. I had a couple questions for you. Excellent movie, wonderful screenplay. Who wrote the screenplay?
I did.
Oh, great job. Great job.
Thank you.
How many siblings do you have, and who played Margaret in your family? And I have one last question for Hayden. What'd you get for the Boba Fett?
I don't know. I should get it appraised.
Yeah. It was probably more than the budget of the movie you'll get for that. I love. First of all, when I first wrote the script, I wrote it about a Chinese American male like myself dealing with a situation. And as I was writing the script, I realized it'd be 10 times more interesting if the main character was female, because of all the shit that Chinese daughters have to put up with not being the one, and then eventually being the one that takes care of everything afterwards. And so, having that kind of father-daughter conflict in that way, made it much more interesting for me when I wrote it, and I think it really comes across that way for me. I have one younger brother. I would say that I'm definitely Margaret, but there's a little bit of me in every character. I'm the eldest, so I understand the pressures that Roy goes through and how hard it can be in an Asian family, as far as like, you're expected to be the one, and you can't always be the one. And then the nerdy part of being the youngest, I get that that's all me. Some of the action figures in the background of his room may have been mine. I'm not going to say, but yeah. But I'm always very fascinated by family dynamics, by where you're born, and how that affects who you eventually become. And so, I love, I always feel like the oldest is always usually the one that's in charge or the one expected to be in charge. The middle is like the peacemaker, and then the youngest is always like the baby, the one that, who like expect, everything is done for them, and they don't have to like do the same things that like the older people had to do. Their elder siblings had to do. So, that's helped me build the characters as well.
Thank you. There's another one up here.
I moved down here.
He's fast.
I know, he is. You have to start throwing the mic around.
So I have to ask it as a two-part question. The first part is, has your dad seen the movie?
No, he has not.
Okay, so based on that answer, do you have any concern or trepidation about your dad's reaction once he sees it?
No, I think my dad, he's not quite the asshole this guy is, but he also like probably doesn't recognize that he could be that guy. This is the same dad that tells me like, Made in Manhattan, that's a good movie. You should make a movie like that, I don't know if he might fall asleep during the film as well. So, so I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. If there is, we discuss it afterwards. But I think the depression part of it, I think they'll recognize that. My dad actually doesn't like talking about it. Once he got better, it's just like it never happened. Which just kind of par for course. We'll see what happens.
Do indie films like this ever get played internationally? And would it be interesting for you, I guess, for this to play in Taiwan or China or?
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem, I think Asian American films don't really play in Asia because they don't care. Unless it's some big star. And if Tom Cruise was in an Asian American film, I think more Asians might be interested. Or if like Shang-Chi is is a Marvel movie. But I see so many Asian films now that are like these films, like these character films, these character dramas I really like, from Taiwan, from Korea, from Japan. And so I feel like if they could play there, I feel like this kind of story is still a universal story that could play in Asia. I'd love to find out. Actually, I talked to the Well-Go people up there, and to see what they think about it, because they have a lot of experience in Asia. But I would love to give it a try. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully films like this can help normalize, because I think in the international market, especially in like the Asian market, and being a guy who's from Hong Kong, like families from Hong Kong that's kept an eye on the Hong Kong market my whole life, like when people think about American stories, they don't think about it through like an Asian American lens. So, movies like The Farewell, movies like this, like hopefully would help expand that scope a little bit. Because, Asian Americans like myself, I'm from Canada, Asian Canadian, posing as an Asian American. I have many I'm a multi-hyphenate. So it's, it'll be interesting to see, but like the more films like these get made, hopefully we can help normalize it. Yeah.
I think you have questions?
I was going to ask, wonderful film, and you guys created some wonderful characters. So congratulations. Does the film have an opportunity to be distributed more widely? I know you're going to festivals now.
Yeah, we're talking to distributors right now, actually, and we're just waiting for the. I have no doubt that it'll get distributed somehow. I've distributed my other features before. I think the question really now for small indie films is marketing. It's like, how do we get people to know about the film? And so that is the key. So right now we've been talking to some distributors and just trying to figure out what the best deal is for us. So we hope to release sometime early next year. And actually bringing that up is a good thing that I just want to bring up really quick. So everyone always asks, like, how can we help this film? There's actually a way you can help, and it's if you give us your email address. And I promise we're not going to send it to some Nigerian prince or like some home loan thing or something. But it's just so that we can tell you, once we do distribute the film, that this film is now available. Because you are the people that help us get the word out, and you know people that would enjoy this film, and you come here to see this kind of film. So it's you guys who are firsthand have seen it and tell people about it. So if you could just do this really quickly, is you pull out your phone. And the great thing about this is you could pretend to be doing this, but not really do it. So just like appease me. But if you send a message, text to the number 33777, so send it to 33777 and text the word DAD, D-A-D. Doesn't matter if it's uppercase, lowercase. You should get a text back saying, hey, send us your email address, and we promise not to abuse our power.
They're actually doing it. It's great. I hear notifications. I love this.
Either that or they're playing Candy Crush and like, yeah. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question.
I just wanted to thank you for this film. I did relate to the Asian American dynamic of families, and also like the issue of mental health. So I just wanted to thank y'all, because I know that it is a taboo subject in Asian American families, addressing mental health. So I was just wondering, I just want to thank y'all for bringing that to light.
Thank you. And like Caden said, it's like we're just trying to hopefully normalize it more so that people don't look at it as like some sort of like stain, but something that's very normal to happen to people and to deal with.
I lied. We'll do one more question. I'm getting tired.
Cardio.
I know. Get your steps in.
Thank you again for being part of our discussion. And what I wanted to say is that I was in China when the Rich Chinese Kids movie came out.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. And I was right there watching it, and a lot of them didn't like it because they couldn't relate to how spoiled these kids that are half American, half Chinese. So it really gave me a different perspective. But your movie here in this market is amazing, not only for the background of Chinese or let's say Taiwanese or Asian, but every culture, since this is a multicultural country, and the same issues are in every family there. So really appreciate this movie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I actually want to piggyback on that because historically, and I think even now, Asian filmmakers have been underrepresented in the industry, and they have in the past been pigeonholed the type of movies that we would get from Asian filmmakers. This movie has, it's very, the themes anybody can relate to. It's an American movie as much as it's an Asian American movie. At this point in your career and where the industry's at, how free do you feel as a filmmaker to tell the sorts of stories that you want to tell?
Yeah, what do you think, dude?
Well, you're the filmmaker, I'm the actor. I'll talk about the actor's perspective.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, I would say it's much better now. It's still difficult, but it's definitely much better. And I think, for me, I think besides Crazy Rich Asians and films like The Farewell and things like that, even like films like Searching, with John Cho, which was really great. I think the streamers have really helped normalize and show that you could do films with diverse characters and different parts of the world and different areas of America, and people are going to watch it. I think for the longest time, I think a lot of studios are just scared about, we can't do a show with starring Asian Americans. Like, how is that going to happen? And I think that that has helped it. And then also there's just a big push in general for diverse films, and all these diverse films have done well. And even like The Farewell, which didn't do well in China, did really well in the U.S. And I'm just trying to think of more recently, like films like Shang-Chi even, like the Marvel movie, which, you know, is all about an Asian American family. It does really well. And so I think it's better, and I think that more people want to support it, so it's good. I just think, you know, right now it's just hard making independent films in general still, and trying to find a way to get people to hear about it. So that's really the key for us right now.
And as an actor, being in the industry for like over 15 years, I can tell you it's a million times better than it was before. I've been fortunate enough to play characters that were always outside of the stereotype. That, you know, when I first started out, I remember the parts that I would go out for were practically just, you know, background props. You know, it wasn't even to even hit a checkbox for a quota or anything. It's just, I'm just there. You know, I'm like barely in focus. You know, you might get 1 line, 2 lines here. And you know, I remember when Steven Yeun got Walking Dead, you know, I think that opened doors for everybody. You know, like, you know, you got filmmakers like Justin Chon now, and you know, and they're all my friends, and I just watched where we all came from. We talk about it all the time, like we could have never dreamed about this, and it all happened so fast. You know, it went from like 0, and then like it was like 2015, 2016, and all of a sudden there was like this huge explosion of.
We used to put on a Dallas Video Fest Cat Fest. I don't know if any of you had ever been to that, but we are looking at, Bart and I are chatting about bringing it back this fall, and Mai might have her film again out here with us, so we might do a big. I mean, I feel like, yeah, it's every time we do a screening of anything, her film's going to be here. So yeah, just keep a watch out for that. And then also I have a giveaway. I have a children's book called The Christmas Kitten. So who's, do what? Oh, it's my book. So I'm the author. So whose favorite holiday is Christmas? Okay, well you're closer, so I'm just gonna do this. Thank you. Okay, so now, do you want me to go back to you or just introduce the amazing Mai? Okay, Mai is a fabulous filmmaker, originally Dallas born, LA located right now. This is, how many screenings is this for you?
Gosh, it's the 22nd that I've been to.
22nd, since last October when it premiered in DIF. So welcome, Mai. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you to AFFD and Tommy and everybody for this like glorious welcome back home. Many of you don't know that when I started this festival, it actually was conceived in this theater in the Angelica. I used to work at the projection booth, and I wanted to start a film festival to see the Asian movies that I wanted to see. So I thought maybe there's some other people who want to do that too. So I put a little collection box downstairs in the lobby that said, you know, if you like Asian movies, put your email address in here, and that started the email list, and that's where everything started. And then I moved over to the Magnolia actually, and that's where we held our first festival there in the Dallas Museum of Art, and that was like 21 years ago, so crazy. And now I'm here. Crazy. So thank you all so much for coming. I hope you enjoy the film. I will be up here answering questions that you might have. You're not going to see any Asians on screen. I just want to warn you. Part of the reason was COVID. We can talk about it later, but that's okay because there's Asians behind the camera. And so that's why we're here, and we're celebrating Asian women filmmakers today. So there's a lot of great films playing in this very theater if you want to hang out here all day with me. So I'll be here. And then, so for those of you staying for the Q&A, I also have another gift if you would like. I need to kind of prioritize the men out there, but if you're a cat dad, I have cat bandanas. I have a few for, and they say, Daddy loves me, for your kitty. And we're doing a social media challenge called the hashtag bandana challenge. And just hashtag us, tag us, Cat Daddy's Movie. We're on Instagram, everything. Cat Daddy's Movie. Tag us your picture so I get to see it. And it's just been part of the fun. And we're gonna have like a Hall of Fame of all the people who submitted. I've been getting pictures back from all over the world, and it's been a lot of fun. So I would love to see your kitty. Just ask me after the Q&A if you'd like one. We also sell them on our website. So, thank you.
Big round of applause for mine. She'll be back a little bit later for Q&A. She'll be back a little bit later for Q&A that you're all going to stay for. Okay? That's how it works. It's like, I hate to have to like show people how it works, but like, it's a sign of respect. You see the movie, you stay for the Q&A. That's how it works. It's like an unspoken contract. So she'll be here 15 minutes. Ask some questions. If you got some questions about what's happening in the film, that'll be a great time to do it. And some bandanas, obviously. And big thank you to Mai for making this whole thing possible from the very beginning. We appreciate it. Big, very big deal. It's been a big part of my life. It's been a big part of a lot of these guys' lives. So thank you very much. All right. We're out of time. Way out of time. We're way out of time. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. All right? Cat Daddies, here we go.
For bearing with us during the heat in this theater. You all are such good sports. So I know you came here to beat the heat, and here we gave it right back to you. So thank you very much. And I'm Erin Nicole Parisi. I'm one of the board members, and I had the pleasure of programming the Women's Film Showcase. So this is a very special day at the festival, and it's extra special to welcome back Mai, one of the founders of our festival, and have her wonderful, funny film. Because who didn't watch crazy animal videos during COVID? And who doesn't do that when you're having a bad, stressful day, right? So this movie was such a treat. So Mai, thank you so much.
It's so nice to meet you in person, finally.
Yes, and you can kind of come over here and we'll sit down. But I'm glad you guys all liked it. Yeah. So, Mai, since it's so special to have you here as a co-founder of the festival, can you tell us about the beginning days 21 years ago and what it was like?
Yeah, I mean, actually, this year is very similar to our first year because it was just very bare bones. It's like, let's just have the best of the best, 4 days, one screen, and it was great. And I love that fact that you did that this year because, you know, I've just been all over the country all year, and it's been hard to get people back. It really is. No matter how much you promote, and understandably, either people are uncomfortable, but I don't know if it's just that. I think it's also just retraining people to go back, you know, and to like pay attention to what's going on in the world of cinema and everything like that. I don't know, like, and now everybody keeps asking me, like, when is this gonna be streaming? When is this gonna be streaming? And so I'm glad that you did it this way. I mean, you pared it down and you just kind of brought the best stuff.
We are too, and we're so glad that you guys weren't scared to be here and came to hang out with us this weekend. Yeah, and I think everyone's creatures of habit, so it's like changing your routine again, and changes in routine are just hard, you know. So when you and Steve first founded the festival, how did you come up with the idea of doing it, and what led you guys down that path?
It was just purely selfish motivation. I've worked in the theaters here like since high school. So I was actually working, it started when I was working in Inwood Theater. I was like, why can't we have this movie? Why can't we have Long Car Y? And then everybody's like, well, like nobody wants to like read subtitles, nobody's interested in Asian film, all this stuff back 20 something years ago, and it was really selfish motivation. I wanted to see stuff on the big screen. This is how I consume my content. I do not like watching stuff on my television or on my computer, so it was just, that was the reason. And Steve Carlton was already doing a kind of his own thing where he's bringing international movies to Dallas. So I said, hey, Steve, you know, I want to do this. You want to team up? Because he was finding it hard too to make his like monthly events happen. And so we just sort of teamed together and made this happen. And it wouldn't have worked if people didn't show up. That's the thing. We wouldn't have been, we put up our own money for the venue and the films, and it just wouldn't have happened if people weren't buying tickets. So I'm grateful to you all.
I know, maybe we can give a round of applause as a thank you for what you've done for the community. And what you guys started has proliferated through, because we are blessed with over 30 film festivals in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is amazing. Other cities don't have that. And we're also so special because our film festivals love to work together. So the other, special thing about this is we have community partnerships like with Women in Film, and I'm also on the board of Women in Film, so it's extra special to be here with the Women's Film Showcase, because it is so rare to have females as directors, producers, anything above the line, as we say, is very, very rare in Hollywood. So if you would think of Gina Davis had a great analogy. If you thought of a plate of cookies of 100 cookies, you take 99 cookies away, and you're left with one cookie, and that represents the number of female directors and producers in Hollywood. So very small, considering the US produces 85% of media content that goes all around the world. So that's pretty shocking in today's numbers and stuff. So it's so neat that Mai is a filmmaker and has had such great success with her projects and everything. And so tell us a little bit about your journey as a female filmmaker and what that's been like, and maybe if you would share some of the challenges of your career path.
Oh gosh. Yeah, the challenges are that I think a lot of, it is true, like it has been a boys club. I see it changing though. It is changing really rapidly. And if you were here yesterday for dealing with dad, like Hayden said it too, like even for, Asian faces, it's changing very rapidly. So that's great to see. But it is challenging because I think sometimes like you grow up with families and friends that they just aren't able to show their support or be supportive because they haven't seen very many, people like me, in those positions. And so it is a lot harder, really just to get that home-based support, especially way back then. Like you said, like I was having trouble getting people to listen to me, and when I said, I think people will read subtitles.
Yeah, right.
I think people will be interested in seeing this work. So it is, I mean, it is sort of, yeah, it's like we just have to change people's habits, and we just have to, again, just sort of, what you're doing is great with the showcase and just promoting us, because we just don't really get enough, because a lot of it is nepotism. A lot of it is your network and who you hang out with, and I just, yeah, and I don't have those connections, quite frankly. So it is just hard to get up there. And with the cat movie, it's been really hard. I don't know if like all the gatekeepers are just dog lovers or whatever, but I've had challenges just getting people to take this film seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, but we have to say though, Mai has been to how many festivals at this point? With this film?
Like 22 out of 26. I didn't get to go to everything,
Okay.
but yeah, it's a lot. This is actually close to the end.
Yeah,
so.
to the end of the run.
Yeah,
but
my cats really miss me. So
I'm sure they're probably
protesting.
Yeah, feeling very left out.
Yes.
That they want their movie too, and they're ready for the sequel.
Yeah.
But it has to be said that Mai's film has won audience awards at pretty much all the film festivals you have played at, which is a wonderful accomplishment, and we hope helps lead to a good distribution deal for you for that, for sure, for sure. Well, and so how did you come up with this idea of talking about the cat daddies?
So I'm a cat lover. I see the images of men holding their cats, and it's just like, I don't know, just something about it just gave me that kind of spark joy. Like it just really made me happy to see that. I think it just came from maybe like growing up around, a very stern father and stern men, and they don't really show their vulnerability. So when I see that, it just instantly makes me happy. And then at the same time that like this kind of movement on social media was going on with these hashtags, my husband became a cat guy, to everyone's surprise. I mean, he'd been around cats. He had met my cats, but then one day a cat found him, a stray cat that someone dumped. Just came around for food and started feeding it, and very quickly they just formed a bond. And I just thought, like, this is incredible, because, like, how many other men don't know that this could be something that they could fall in love with. And I think it proves that you just don't know what you don't know. And he found the right cat, and that changed him, and now he probably loves them more than me. I mean, it's like it's really insane. Like, yeah, but it's like strengthened our relationship even more, because we just fawn over our cats and pamper them all the time. So yeah, I just thought that maybe a side benefit of the film would be to maybe encourage, with using these images and stories, encouraging men to sort of be more open to something different. And I think there's a lot of benefits from pets in general, but especially cats. Emotional, mental, all kinds of benefits. Even my husband says that it helps him de-stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be with our cats.
And I thought you illustrated that so well with the fire department, and stuff too. And I thought it was so neat how you found so many different people around the country to interview and be part of this. Tell us a little bit about that process. How many people did you approach? Did everyone you approached say yes? Did they say no? And tell us about that.
So everyone we interviewed and filmed made the cut. That's what you saw. I was very selective because I don't have a big budget. I can't travel all over the world. My cats will be mad at me. So I had to be very selective. I used social media a lot to find most of the guys. I was already following them, so I could kind of know, like, I know it sounds stalkerish, but you can kind of figure out, like, what they do for a living, where in the world they are, and how socialized their cats were, because I didn't want to, like, stress any cats out. So, their Instagram accounts can tell you a lot, so I could know ahead of time who to approach. And then there were a few men who I did approach who pretty much, there's some men who just, like, had no interest whatsoever. I think they're just too shy. And then there were some men who were interested, but then as we went into 2020, I had some people either drop out or I couldn't get to them because of the travel restrictions and whatnot. So we ended up spending more time with David and Lucky Story in New York, and that came from a tip, actually, from a random person who was helping him, and she showed me his GoFundMe page, and that said his story, and in his words, the only thing he had to live for was Lucky, and that really got me. And even though my whole vision for the movie was not at all going to be serious or or the least bit dark, we just had to figure out a way to make it work. So we had to meet him, and you just fall in love with him because he has that kind of childlike innocence. And I couldn't stop thinking about him. Like, once we met him and we thought this could help him somehow, and it has. We've already helped raise over tens of thousands of dollars for his medical expenses, which you can imagine are huge. So we've just been lucky.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm lucky that every guy worked out, and I love all of them. So
absolutely. Well, and that's such a special thing that you've done for him, and to share that story is so important, to show the vulnerability of when you're dealing with medical illness and just in having a loved one or a loved pet. By your side, it makes so much of a difference. It really does.
I mean, I think it's keeping him going, because I actually saw him last week in New York, and he credits Lucky for everything, because he has surpassed all medical expectations, and I think it probably has something to do with his baby boy.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm sure any animal lover of any type in the audience also knows how that feels and how much it is to have a pet be so important and another family member in your life. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so a little dish. Who was the most difficult cat to film?
Oh gosh, there were a couple, but I would say Flame, maybe. I don't know why. Flame's actually famous on Instagram, so people actually show up, like, to the firehouse all the time. Just random tourists, sometimes from other countries, and they want to meet Flame. So I think Flame was just by the time we met him, I think he was just over it. He just didn't want to be filmed. And so he was hiding all day, and it was actually like, we kind of like, we were like, we'll just film the firemen and all the other stuff, and then we'll come back tomorrow and see what we can get. And then like, it was like, we were at dinner, and they called, and they sent me a picture, and they're like, look, he's here. And like, we had to leave dinner and like rush back to the firehouse and be like, okay, we got, and then, so then he was cooperative after a whole day or not. And yeah, most of the time when we were shooting, we only had, most of the time, a day with the cats, and we had to wait a lot of that day for them to warm up to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know your craft service must have been really good for the days. And there's always a rule in film too that you don't want it, working with kids and animals is so hard. The first film I made, I worked with kids and animals, and so I totally understood.
Yeah, cats, you cannot direct them, and anytime they see a camera, they just immediately just want to turn away and face the other way. So yeah, it was a lot of
Well, I know they're saying to wrap it up, and so I'm so sorry we can't take questions from the audience, but Mai will be around this evening, and so I hope we can talk in the lobby where it's much, much cooler. But
I do have the bandanas if you want to grab them for me, and also we are getting distribution, so tell your friends to look it up on, we're on Instagram at Cat Daddy's Movie, and we'll be back in the fall.
Hey guys, pretty quick.
And I play Mohan. And Ted Romasola, and I did extra camera work.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Big round of applause as they make their way back to their seats, guys. Thank you. Okay, we've got a couple of things. I think we...
And those are miniatures. Oh, yeah. It was just me in a fish tank filming.
Woo!
Hey. Oh, yeah, there works.
So, I've since I first watched this film, I've been dying to ask, how did you do the guts?
Oh, so it's actually a pool noodle, and then it's wrapped in clay, and then like some other stuff, and then what's cool is there's some gauze fabric too, but in the water it looks like it's like blood oozing out, and then we added some more blood around it too. Yeah, I mean, who knew a pool noodle with clay?
So when I started reading about the film, I looked up what Urzuli is.
Yes.
And it's an actual voodoo spirit.
Yes. Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea of making that into a movie and into what we saw?
So what I wrote first was a 7-page short film. It had just the basis of 4 women. In the original one, they were stranded at a motel, and then they happen upon a mysterious woman that's, so that premise, and then they rescue the woman, and it's a mermaid, but that was it. So Urzuli came later when we decided to take it into making it a feature. That's when we did some research. Actually, the original short is called Amphitrite, which is Poseidon's wife. But then I spent some time in Louisiana because of tax breaks. And so I was there, and I'm like, I got really fascinated with I guess you would call the Southern Gothic look, and all the folklore, the rougarou, all that stuff. And we researched it and found Urzuli, the Haitian Loa. So, yeah.
And one of the reasons the film really works is that you had a really clear idea of what you wanted the film to be. You see it not only in the movie, but when I look at your marketing, you really honed in on what you wanted this to be about. So did that develop over time once you kind of identified what the idea was for the screenplay?
Yeah, the marketing, is a big thing. Ava DuVernay said that, a film is going to be successful if you know how to market it. It's all about marketing. And I knew that I wanted like 90s throwback girl power sleepover type vibes, basically, is what I wanted. Not taking it too seriously. I'm inspired by Alamo Drafthouse, Jaws on the Water, you know, one day it'd be great if people could float in tubes and have people like mermaids like magically pop up everywhere and stuff like that, like to pull you under, and that like a fun movie, Steven Spielberg, all that type of stuff was exactly what I was feeling vibe-wise. And neon, I guess you would call it grunge noir is kind of the feel, neo noir. That was totally the vibe. Yeah, so we really leaned into it.
And even Ursula herself reflects that vibe. I mean, she's a mermaid with an attitude. You see, one of my favorite scenes is when they pull her out of the pool and she's sitting there, and she's so kind of fed up with what they're doing.
She's like, you idiots, yeah.
So Layla, how did you get involved in the film?
Like every amazing actor, I auditioned. And it was during our Snowvid-19 in Austin, Texas, where our grid shut down and we were all stuck at home. Thankfully, because I am a goddess, I didn't lose anything. I still had water and power. I was like Netflixing it and like making a roast and everything. And while my friend was like freezing and her fish tank was like frozen, I was like, my bad. I'm just the universe's favorite. But yeah, so Ari, the character Ari, Diane and I are actually all of the girls and I are friends outside of this, very close friends. And Diane was like, you need to audition for this. This is definitely something you would do. And I was like, okay. So I set up my little thing and I did my audition and the rest is history.
Yeah, it was cool because when I'm not producing or directing, I work as a first assistant director, and I was actually on a set that refused to shut down during Snowvid, and it was like blizzarding, and we finally call it, and we finally shut down the set, and I think I'm moving from location 2 to location whatever, and her audition pops up, and like I took a moment for myself to look at this audition. I was like, oh, I think we found it. Because who's going to find a beautiful black mermaid goddess, like where? Like I didn't even know where to find Ursula, and she was right there. And I sent it to my producer, my co-writer. We're like, we just hope she can swim. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that battle.
Yeah, that was interesting too. Yeah. So swimming in a mermaid tail is not a easy skill to learn, apparently. Yeah. I'm glad we tested the tail.
My God, yes.
Yes. So we have this custom made tail from Hogfly in Austin, Texas, and we're like, well, hope this thing works. And so we're like, all right, Layla, get in there, go in the swim pool. And she like drowns.
Yeah. I literally
was like oh no.
I straight up.
It's all on film too. It's so bad. We're like, okay guys, like here we are, we're with our mermaid, and she's like dying.
I'm traumatized.
I was like, oh no. Like this is really bad. This is like our worst nightmare, basically. Someone who's an incredible actor and like cannot swim and that she's a mermaid. And we're like, this is bad.
Well, to be fair, so like no one tells you this. No one but the mermaid community knows this. When you put on a tail, like your mermaid tails are very heavy. So outside of the water, just alone, imagine your legs completely strapped, your ankles completely strapped, and 30 pounds. When it hits the water, it goes to 50. And the reason why is because mermaids are supposed to be submerged. They're not supposed to be up breathing air. So they're made and designed to just keep you down. So I got in and was like, ooh, I look sexy. Look at me. This is nice. We're on Instagram live. I driveway. And I was like, oh, my inner goddess was like, hell no. Yeah. Hell no. And I'm like,
and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah. I mean, we learned later. Thankfully, they had a professional mermaid help me get past said trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, please teach Layla how to be a mermaid, please. So
and then it worked out, yeah.
It worked out. But it was really stressful. This was like a week or two before the film. I was like, how am I gonna find another mermaid that can swim, that can act? But you pulled out and it was great. And yeah, that was the whole thing. But yeah, she's glued in that tail. She's glued into the tail with the prosthetics. It takes
glued.
5.5 hours to get her in all of that stuff. And then the part that people forget about is after we wrap, everybody's like, yeah, we wrapped, and we leave, and then she's in the chair for 2 hours.
Yep, like they got to go home and they're all set, and they're like slowly peeling off the soap, and I'm like, because it was just so long, and 5.5 hours sitting there and chilling. I'm like, yeah, I'm in it. And then I shoot for like maybe an hour.
And you're like, I gotta pee.
Oh, that was a whole deal when I had to pee in the tail, because I felt this was one of those moments on set where they like put the blue thing in the tablet in the water, so if you pee, it turns blue. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm the only one that it would turn blue. People would know. I'm the only one in the water. So they literally had to like unzip it, and I can't remember. Did we take it off?
We after the test, we're like, okay, we need like a Mayday zipper. Like, shit, she's drowning. Let's unzip her so she can stick her leg out. You know, like something to just prevent deaths and drowning on set. I would love that. So we built the zipper in, and that's how you zip yourself, but you still be glued in, but you can stick your leg out.
So it was like
Yeah.
shimming it up. And then they were like, do you need help? Because I had a whole squad of people carrying.
There's a mermaid
like
squad.
7 people. It was so great. I felt glorious.
Yeah. We'd be like, bring in Ursula, and 6 people would like shimmy her out.
It's not often that you feel, it's just it's so nice.
Yeah, we would shimmer her out. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
So with independent horror, it's not like other independent films. There's so many more challenges, some of which you highlighted. Did you know that going into when you made the film, or did you have to kind of learn that over the course of the production?
So because I AD, I specialize in low budget films and filming in terrible conditions for very little time. So I kind of was prepared for it mentally, but I had originally wanted to raise money for 15 days of shooting. That 15 days became 11 days of shooting. So, which really sucked a lot. So I was I storyboarded every single thing in this everything, like planned to the T. At night we would have, if anybody's making a super low budget film, I highly suggest an on-site editor, which I had. So his name is Colby. He lived in a little hut on set. And
We never saw him
We
until
never saw
lunch,
him. He
ever.
would pop up and grab food and go
He'd be like-
buy. It was our little like gnome basically that lived in a little editing hut. And then I would like go have a beer with everybody after wrap, yay, have fun. And then I would go into the hut and like watch what we shot that day. It was like completely edited basically. What that allowed me to do was look for things that we were missing and immediately start shooting them. To the point where, because I AD, we didn't have much time, I'd be like, these are the 10 shots we need, don't ask questions, that's what we're gonna get. And people were like, I don't know, she's going crazy. Like, why do we need insert to this and insert to that, and the random, flashlight with the sign of the don't swimming, like nobody understood what was
I
going
remember the
on.
mailbox. They were like, do you know where a mailbox is? I'm like, I'm not from this state.
Yeah, so it was, but I edit as well, so I, after the final assembly, I went through and edited everything as well. So being able to edit, I was able to just on the fly know like what to shoot, know the minimal pieces that I needed to get everything basically. And that was the only way this film was miraculously made. Like I've been on so many sets where when you wrap, there's a bunch of leftover like crafty and stuff. We had one bag of chips and like a few Gatorades. That's how tightly budgeted this was. It was really sad. And I was like, wow, like we begged and pleaded to make this film work, and somehow came out swinging. So.
I had a lot of the snacks in my trailer.
Actually, our boom op is here. I thought she ran away, but she's still here. Yay, Ryan! Yes, so, but yeah, I told everybody, I was like, you're camping on set. Like, think the worst situation. Like, that's just, if you agree, you cannot complain because you agreed to these terrible conditions. So, it was not that bad, but I wanted you to feel like it would be bad so that you would for sure want to be there, so. Yeah, good. Excellent. Our set wasn't the worst.
Did you have a lot of late night filming? Because I mean, a lot of the scenes are at night.
The last whole week was all overnights. And that actually was great because we couldn't start shooting till 6, and then the sun came out at 5:30, so we were always under 12 hours. So I don't know why the crew complained. Just kidding. But yeah, no, that helped us with the time and everything. But yeah, we were all zombies completely. And we lived on the property. The girls became friends through trauma bonding, really. I forced them to all live in the picture cabin. They all lived in there, hence the magical organic.
Well, they did. I didn't.
Oh, you did. You got your own trailer.
Goddess has her own place.
So, but like the crew lived on, because it was during the height of the pandemic. So we all lived on little tiny homes on this one property and everything, and got bit by mosquitoes. And I mean, that was a real swamp. It wasn't like a Hollywood on the lot warm pool that looks like a swamp. It was in a swamp, and we had two people. One person was a snake and alligator wrangler,
Yeah.
and on the other side was a water rescue person. So then before anybody got in the water, we'd be like, Greg! And he'd come out with his machete and his like wetsuit. Yeah, he used to be like an FBI guy. He would go in and hack away at everything. He'd be like, okay, I think all the snakes are gone. We're like, okay. Yeah, and then the girls would go in. Yeah, and I felt really bad. Every time they go, I'm like, I'm sorry. And action. So, yeah, it was rough. Yeah.
How's it been for you all to roll out the film? I know you've had a number of different screenings.
Yeah.
You go on your website and see the different places
It's
where it's
been
played.
fun because this was meant to be a fun film, and we wanted to. A lot of the screenings, like some that we had in Austin, we combined it with the pool. I think you wanted to actually bring in a pool, but the budget constraints at the Asian Film Festival, we weren't able to bring a pool for you guys to watch the film in. But
Very independent as well.
but you should. This is a film that you sit in your inner tube in your pool, and you have and you drink a lot, and you watch it, and at night, and it's super fun, and that's how we designed it. And a lot of our screenings, our first ones were we had a pool, we projected the film into the pool, and there were mermaids swimming around and watching with people. It was like a show type thing. If I could, down the line, I would love to do like the Bridgerton experience. It'd be the Ursula experience, and you watch the film in the water with a bunch of mermaids. I think that'd just be super, super fun. I would love to do that. So.
Any questions from the audience?
Oh.
I can.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're making that poor man run.
Getting all your cardio.
And have his steps in.
Steps.
Thank you. Ladies, I think that the film was really, really nice. I liked the cinematography and the music especially.
I love the music.
Yeah, there was like some type of song where she's like, stay in the water. and they were doing, like, was there like a band specifically, or did y'all like find a song on Spotify?
No, all of it was original. My composer, Nick Longoria, is genius. He's worked on almost all my shorts, and I have a music background, so the soundtrack. The story was when we were shooting our pickups in Austin. So I shot those underwater scenes because of lack of budget. I shot those underwater scenes because I don't need a wetsuit. People will just push me down the water. It's fine. Like, I will deal with it. The lowest of conditions. I will not complain.
I think he's talking about the Kissy Missy song.
The Kissy Missy song.
Yeah.
So we were shooting in Austin. And my co-writer is driving to Austin from Shreveport. She writes the lyrics on her way to Austin. The moment she hits Austin, we're in the studio with Nick, and she lays down the track and the song, and that's, like, there's a whole video of that.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm in there, after we made the actual song, like a single, then I went in with the film and we basically dissected the song and took it apart. And I'm like, okay, at this point I want the drum to hit at this part. And the moment her eyes open, the drum hits there too. So it was like carefully dissected to match the scene basically. But yeah, now that's the fun part I'm like, all those music lessons my parents gave me, because Asians and piano and everything. I was like, this is where it went. Yeah. Like, let's resolve that chord to a G, you know. So it was. I loved making the music soundtrack for it. I wanted like Stranger Things kind of feel and synthy 80s, 90s. Yeah. The first song was like, I want No Doubt, you know, No Doubt 90s, because I was a big 90s girl power like song rock person. So Camille also sang that one as well. So. And that song is actually a variation of the other song. You didn't know that.
Wow. Okay. That's very cool. I didn't know the full backstory about that. Also, I noticed that whenever the girls, I think it was Wendy's character, whenever she summoned Ursula, she said like some type of a chant or some type of code words.
Yes.
Is that an actual language that is she saying? Like, what is she saying?
Okay.
I think he's talking about the Creole.
When I'm speaking, when Ursula's speaking, or when he said Wendy?
Oh, Wendy's
so when Wendy's summoning, it's French.
French. She's speaking French. Yeah, there's some French in there, but she doesn't. She says it in English though. But in a lot of it was whatever you hear that sounds like it's foreign. It is Creole.
He's speaking Creole.
Yeah, Creole specifically.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. You want to go into like your research on it? Is his specific Haitian Creole?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did a ton of research in trying to figure out what type of dialect, what type of voice, should it be high pitched, should it be low, how to carry myself, different mannerisms, and I basically landed on what you saw for Ursula, and I started learning Haitian Creole because Ursula is an actual Haitian Creole Loa, and I wanted Haitian Creole, children, little boys and girls, when they hear the story, to watch this, and for me to say and speak in their own native language, so they can literally be like, oh my God, I know what she said, and it wasn't English. So I wanted them to be able to sit and listen and just be like, oh, I know what she said. So, because I could just imagine if I were a kid and I heard someone speaking in a foreign language, and then I heard something that resonated to me. So for me, that was very important. So so my character will I just randomly added like different Creole things that someone would say in Creole.
Yeah, a lot of research actually went into it. So like from the makeup to everything, it was all based off of like Haitian folklore, and there's a reason why she has a line and all that. Like we wanted to make sure we respected the culture as much as possible. So like we actually consulted a voodoo priestess, Mama B. Yeah, so she told us about like everything. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Thank you all so much. This is a really nice film. Thank you.
This is the first Black Mermaid film.
Yeah,
too.
ever.
We
I'm
beat
the first one ever.
Disney. Yeah, so excited.
And then Disney is a remake.
Is there going to be a sequel?
Yes, it's not gonna be in a swamp. We need lots of money. No, I have ideas for the sequel. It's like 50 times bigger than this. This is pretty much like, this is what I can do with no money. And so yeah, 220K was what it probably wanted with posts and everything. Shot in 11 days with all the things. But yeah, no, the next one is like clans of mermaids. I'm collecting mermaids because we've been so a big reason why we didn't do the traditional film festival, which is why we're really excited when the Asian Film Festival had us here, is that we needed to follow this the merfolk community. So since COVID, a lot of these mercons have been shut down, and this was the year that they were coming back, and it's a lifestyle. I mean, you saw Mermaid Melee, and yeah, so we followed a lot of these mercons to screen the film and to honor the community. So that's why our screening has been kind of strange, but it's been following. We did the Sacramento Mermaid Convention, we did the Afro Mermaid Convention in Florida, and next week we're doing Portland Mermaid Parade. I didn't know there was this many mermaid things. Yeah, but I am a mermaid community expert now, and like we know the mermaid influencers now. It's great. They're like, yeah, Mermaid Icarus, yeah, we got you. Yeah, so it's been fun learning about these niche communities. So I'm sure Maya knows from Cat Daddies how fun that is. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. And it's a relationship. Like when we're telling them, it's like this isn't going to be the only film. We hope that like the next con we can build it in, and then the one after that. Like I really want little girls, they're 13 plus, to watch the film and then like have a sleepover, and then like when they are 20 years older and jaded and hates adulting, they'll go back and watch this film and remember what it's like to be a kid and have fun and do witchcraft. Light as a feather, light as a feather.
Well, Christina and Lena, thank you so much for being here and helping us close out the festival. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Last one standing. We appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here.
Time to go to bed.
Yeah. Don't have nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun to see on the big screen. And the point about girls, my daughter's she loves spooky stories. It's a little too much for her right now. I'm excited to show it.
Yes. I know. I'm going to be a terrible parent because I'm like, kids need to know about this, so it's okay.
Well, I was disappointed. I totally would have planned a pool party.
A pool
You should,
party?
yeah, seriously. I totally would have made that happen.
I wanted to do it, but then I was like, how do we do it?
Oh, I know the perfect. I could have done. I mean, I could have totally rocked it. Oh, seriously. I didn't know that somebody would want to do that. Yeah. Was that really cool? I thought seriously.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
So the sequel, we will do the pool party. I'm ready. I already know where it's going. Thank you. That was so wonderful. Thank you. And we need to see oh my God. Oh,
hold on. Okay. Hold on.
Yes. Did it break?
Yeah.
Ate too much food. No. It's just I don't eat God anymore. Too much food. Yeah, no, don't. That is just bad. It's so wonderful to hear about everything. I was wondering how the prosthetics went. You guys talked about that.
Yes, thank you. I don't know how.
Well, I definitely want to get a picture. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. This was like. I will do a fun party. I was never shooting in Dallas. I know exactly where.
Okay, so shall I look at this?
I do. Yes, seriously. Yes.
And then,
oh my God. I mean, it would be so much fun.
leave myself
I would love that. And then, did you guys get to go to the Mermaid?
No, and then August and September I was on set.
Okay.
So when I was off set, we were done at the end technically.
Oh, it's so much fun. And I was like, just like this. Yes, and they're all like families dressed up with their little kids in strollers that are fish. I mean, and it's just everything.
Financing here is like
but seriously, I would love to.
Life happened.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. You get in there.
I'm still having
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. I'm so grateful for everything, and I can't wait to see all the footage.
I guess that was so fun. Where are you? Where do you live? Oh, I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah, I used to live
A lot of people are moving to help.
Yeah, everybody from LA is moving here. Awesome. And the people who lived in Los Angeles for a while.
I'm so glad I
Make sure she doesn't bounce around. Yep, and I work primarily with
and so where are you shooting?
Yeah, no, I moved January of this year, but I literally didn't have any time because I took like 2 jobs in the South, so I came back. That's why nobody knows I moved down.
Right.
Because the moment I moved, everybody gave me jobs back where I was, and then I was in Austin and Shreveport, and then I went on this tour. So like I recently just moved back. So yeah, and I recently. That's why I made the formal announcement. I've actually moved to LA, even though technically on paper I moved.
That whole bit was
Very refreshing, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes,
I love the fact that you're Asian American. And the topic and story is not so typical about like
It's not typical.
and I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like racism, like the thing that it's just a part of it. It touches on it, but it's very in it. I know my stuff is there. I can grab it.
Right.
Yeah, you guys should.
The monopods are
I'm sorry, you're next.
I'll let you go. It was so.
Hey there, guys. I am here to kick you out.
Oh, nice.
You may hang out in the lobby downstairs.
We'll go outside. Hey, let's get a photo together.
The teenagers who run this place at this hour want to go home. Grab a bag. Thanks for telling
Okay, which one you want to call it?
You tear like the number you want?
Like, yeah, which one you want?
Okay, so
Thanks, guys. Grab a bag.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for tolerating the heat. We appreciate it.
Okay.
So you tear it at the
Number 8.
There you go, right there, not all the way. Yeah, but that's good, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I learned a lot.
yeah.
No, thank you.